Hello, how you guys doing? James here. Hope you're doing well and having a good week. Well, um, there's some things politically I want to talk about, and I'm gonna address this to African American community, the Black community. Um, but other people can chime on in. Of course, of course, people gonna chime on in. But here's some point of views from different commentators about the political climate, and maybe after hearing these decisions, maybe you decide who you want to vote for.
Throughout the black community and all in the historical black college HBCUs, there are politicians going to these places talking to us about killing our children, killing black folk. And they speak to us in code that they feel that we're too dumb to see through. I didn't say we were, they think we are. What is the code? Women's health. That's the code talk. Women's reproductive rights. There is no reproduction in abortion.
What's up, YouTube family? Welcome back to my space. This is Evans Rayola. Guys, I have been doing a series on Black history in America. And guys, I have found this amazing pastor, or rather bishop, known as Bishop Patrick Wooden, who spoke on the future of black people in America. He said that black people have a very rich history, and what worries him is the future of black people in America. So Bishop Patrick Wooden has recently spoken out about his concern for the future of black people in America, particularly focusing on issues that he believes are being neglected by churches and society at large. He has criticized what he perceives as the reluctance among churches to address key moral and social challenges, such as the impact of abortion on the black community. According to Bishop Wooden, these issues are crucial to the future of black Americans, and failing to address them openly and honestly could have dire consequences. Bishop Wooden, who has been a pastor for over 34 years, is known for his bold and apologetic stance on controversial topics, often emphasizing the need for the church to lead in moral and social discussions rather than follow popular opinion. So guys, I want us to watch this video of Pastor Patrick Wooden speaking about the future of black America. And guys, we will get to learn and uncover the secrets behind the rot that is abortion in the black community. So guys, let us watch this. After the video has ended, we will react to the same, and I'll be able to give out my perspective. Let's watch this, guys.
And you know, while I'm on that, 5 mothers, I want to wish everybody a happy Black History Month. Amen. You know, February is Black History Month. You know, we get the shortest one of the year, but we still get a month. But allow me, and I know I'm out of sequence, to say this. We're talking about celebrating Black History Month. My concern is not only, did you hear me say only? Did you hear me say only? Now don't act like you didn't hear me say only, because I said only. But my concern is not merely, did you hear me say merely? For black history. I'm worried about the black future. See, there are things that's going on in the world today that lets me know that what is in jeopardy is not our history. Our problem is we've learned nothing from our storied and august history. We have come a long way. the story of the black race in this country is one of triumph and tragedy. Amen. When we were brought here, we weren't welcome. The Statue of Liberty wasn't built for us. We were not welcome. And no one expected us to last. We were brought here for free labor, to be slaves. We weren't even considered as human beings. But God blessed us. And God kept us. And look at where we are today. Look at where we are in society, in the communities we live in. Look at where we are in the field of entertainment, sports, athletics, academia. We're everywhere. I read a sign. I was traveling in a deep part of a state I won't name. I almost said it. And a man passed me, and he had a sign on his truck that said, had we known that it would have turned out like this, we would have left the slaves in Africa. And I laughed and laughed, and because that made the point. They didn't know. But God knew. God knew. You see, and look at us now. We're blessed of the Lord and highly favored. But my concern is the future. So we're talking about all of this social justice stuff, right? I have a question for the social justice warriors. Does social justice apply to the unborn? I've never seen a social justice warrior at an abortion clinic. I've never seen them show up and say, let the baby live. If social justice doesn't apply to the unborn, social justice doesn't apply at all. Because if people aren't born, then there are no people to make sure that the social justice laws apply to. I look at what is happening in our country today. In the last 3 years, almost 10 million illegal immigrants have entered into the country. I don't blame them. And they're coming from all over the world. China is sending in thousands of single men. The overwhelming majority of immigrants, illegals that are coming in, are males. Most do not come in waving the U.S. flag. They come in with flags from their own country. They're not embracing the melting pot. We're seeing our government now show more kindness to illegals than to American citizens. You can't hardly pull up to a stoplight and park your car in peace and wait for the light to go from green to red to green. It can't change fast enough for you because there's somebody walking by wanting a handout. And these are overwhelmingly U.S. citizens. How is it that we can find money to house people who are here illegally, but there is nothing for those who are legal? So I don't want to talk about black history. And again, I'm not blaming. If I live somewhere else, and if I could get in America, I'd go under the fence, over the fence, whatever. I'm not talking about those who are seeking asylum. But I am speaking of a matter of the law because it concerns me that while this is taking place on our southern and northern border, and northern, we talk about the southern and northern, throughout the black community and all in the historical black colleges, HBCUs, there politicians going to these places talking to us about killing our children. Telling black folk, and they speak to us in code that they feel that we're too dumb to see through. I didn't say we were, they think we are. What is the code? Women's health. That's the code talk. Women's reproductive rights. There is no reproduction in abortion. Abortion, by definition, is the interruption of a natural process that leads to a particular outcome. In this case, a human being coming into the world. They have trained you to hear women's health issues as make you think that there are people actually out against women's health when they're actually trying to save unborn babies. And when you consider what is being told to us, and you consider that we're having fewer, smaller and smaller families, and when you consider that they're bringing in people, just the other day, the bill, I have it right here, the name of the bill, and I'm going to preach this morning, H.R. 6976. H.R. 6976 was a bill that would deport illegals if they were convicted of drunk driving. Drunk driving is a problem. You can get killed. The multitude of people who have lost families, loved ones in their lives from a drunk driver, that's a real problem. And then if you compound the problem with that if the person who was drunk wasn't supposed to be here anyway, that's a double loss. Do you not know that 159 Democrats voted against that measure? Against it. I have said this to you for years. I'm hearing others say it now. We are being replaced. We're being replaced. And we're behaving, and this is hard to hear, but I want you to hear me, hear my heart. We're behaving like the frog that's being slowly boiled. We don't even notice it. Don't even see it. You drive past workplaces where you used to see black folk doing those jobs. You don't see us anymore. So they moved up where? You go in the corporate rooms, they still white. Where did they go? Where did they go? See, there is something going on, and the alarm needs to be sound. God knows we have a storied history and many, many, many heroes to talk about and many reasons to be proud. But we are nullifying all of those gains by killing our own. Amen. So I want to talk about black future, the future of our race. We deserve to live. We deserve to exist. We deserve to multiply. Yeah, we do. We're not better than anyone else, but we're not worse. Amen. And the things that have been done, that are being done, are against us. We've already lost our status as America's largest minority party. That's gone. And it ain't coming back. Because first of all, they convinced us to have smaller and smaller families. They convinced us from the pulpit and everywhere else, it's all right to kill the fruit of the womb. And it's amazing in the average abortion clinic, and I got to leave this alone, where the woman is sitting there and the ladies in the clinic who are standing around and they're aiding and abetting her as she gets rid of their precious life, a large number of those women are lesbians. Because there's a direct link between the lesbian community and the abortion community. And see, since the lesbians are engaged in a relationship that don't produce babies, no way. See, because children don't, saliva doesn't germinate.
Yo, that was a very, very nice teaching from Bishop.
US Bank has a business checking account that has no monthly maintenance fee and smart tools that make forecasting cash flow a walk.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to my channel, Runaway Slave. I would like to give a big up to all my subs and supporters who like, comment, and share the videos. In addition, a special big up to all those who purchased my masterpiece, my book, The N-Word is No Secret in the Service. Big up to you all. Let's cook. Okay, people, in the state of California, this suspected white supremacist governor by the name of Gavin Newsom, okay? He dodges the black community again, of course, with the help of his black crackers, aka the Black Caucus, people whom he have on his payroll, on his back pocket. This guy, Stephen Bradford, and his chick, Lori Wilson. Yes, they look like us. They look like the same people who are owed these reparations, but they ain't about that, okay? I have no idea who made a Black Caucus in the state of California anyway, who says that they can be part of a Black Caucus or who approves them, but I'm pretty sure that it has to be some so-called important members of the white community to say, okay, we'll take you and we'll take you and we'll call you the Black Caucus. So let's start it off like this, people. The state of California owes black descendants of chattel slavery and many other atrocities committed by the white supremacist government a lot of money, okay? Now, when these things happen to black people in the state of California then and now, okay, when their land was stolen unlawfully, when the state allowed slavery to continue to go on even after they said it was so-called over, when the state participated in redlining and all kind of other health and educational disparities in the state of California. Horrible place for black people, how they treated black people. When this stuff was going on, this was for the benefit of its white residents. So if you are a white person whose family has been in California for some time, your grandparents, you all benefited from this, okay? I know a lot of you like to say, oh, well, I didn't. Yes, you did. Yes, you did, okay? So when these horrible things were going on and happening to the black community and the descendants of slavery in the state of California, the beneficiaries of this was the white community, okay? You benefited for this. This was all done for you if you are white and you live in California. Okay, now right now in the state of California, they are saying that the state owes these black descendants of chattel slavery $800 billion. Okay, this was done by a California reparations task force. They said that you owe the black community $800 billion. Okay, $800 billion is what they owe. It should be more than that. And people, here's my disclaimer, man. If you're not part of this history, if you're not a descendant of somebody who was blocked in the state of California, who wasn't allowed to live as a human being without full access to their humanity due to the fact that they were a descendant of slavery or just black, if this has nothing to do with you, leave your comment. I mean, unless the comment is in benefit of black people, leave it out. It don't matter, man. You know what I mean? It don't matter. If you're not part of this history and then you have a negative comment, get out of here. Save your comment, you know, where you can shove it anyway. It's not for you, okay? If you were not in America at the time that this went down, this is true American history here. Now, I can't say that somebody doesn't have the right to comment. I'm just trying to help people understand how ignorant they are when they speak against things like this, okay? This is for all the crackers here, okay? The white and the black ones, just so you understand, okay? There's a lot of things that happen, and it hasn't been settled yet, okay? A lot of these people seem to have a big problem when black people in America are fighting for some form of justice or what's owed for them. Anytime there's a black person getting their teeth kicked out, knee on their head like George Floyd shot up, they all out there, you know what I'm saying? All kinds of people. yeah, this and that, black right. Soon as black people start talking about, oh, listen, this hasn't been settled yet. You got other black people who don't even look like them, and of course, white supremacists talking against it. You know, absolutely sick. Okay, but you cowards ain't fighting them Bernstein Bears for them getting them reparations and all the money that the government is sending them. You're not fighting on Ukraine. You ain't got nothing to say about that. But anytime black people go past getting their skin kicked off our forehead by cops or something else happening on the streets with police, any other justice that black people are seeking, these people seem to have a problem with it. And you know who you are. I'm talking to the white crackers and the black crackers. If you're not amongst that group, that's cool. Because we don't have a problem with nobody anyway. Okay? 800 billion the white community owes these black residents of California because of what happened. Okay? But the state of California and their Democrat white American governor named Gavin Newsom is running an okie doke on black people. Just recently, the white lawmakers in California were on the chopping block. They were in a position to approve these bills related to reparations for these people who are owed this, but they ran the okie doke. Okay? And what they did was they approved proposals allowing for the return of land or compensation to families whose property was unjustly seized by the government, and they issued a formal apology for laws and practices that have harmed black people. That's what they did, okay? So they had this big day, and they didn't approve anything, but that's nothing. So what they did was they stalled these black residents in California whom they owe money to, okay? They stalled them with an apology. They're going to put up some kind of big plaque, and they also saying that you would have to have record that the white supremacists in the state of California unjustly took your land. You got to have a record of that for you to have got anything out of this decision that they just made the other day, okay? You can have the pleasure of going to look at a plaque at the State House that says California will accept responsibility and formally apologize for its role in perpetuating segregation, economic disparities, and discrimination against black Americans, okay? Basically saying, we know we did it, we're sorry, we don't want this to happen again. That's a bunch of people. They can shove that plaque. I'm not even from the state of California, but whatever. They approved that, and they also approved the land thing, which is only for black people who can prove that their land was stolen from their family. But the real part of this, that these black people were there for, they didn't push it through. Okay, that's it. The most important part of the bill, nothing. No part of this bill that was supposed to be pushed through would provide widespread direct payments to African Americans. Okay? The California state lawmakers, they left out two of the most important parts of the bills that would have created a fund and an agency to carry out so they can get to the bottom line and see, okay, who in the state of California is owed money. That was one thing as far as this bill that they wanted to prove. They didn't get that. Okay? They didn't get that. Let's get to the bottom line and see who was owed money. They didn't even get that far, people. This white supremacist governor named Gavin Newsom, he has this black caucus, these shine bones in his pocket on his payroll, and what they're doing, although they're the black caucus, they're helping him stall the bill and come up with excuses for this white man, okay? This chick, she's the head of the black caucus, this person named Lori Wilson. She said that the black caucus pulled the bills because the proposals need more work. Ain't that the okie doke, y'all? She said that we didn't give the bills to the governor because these bills need more work. Why they need more work? Give the bills to the governor in reference to this reparation situation and then let him reject it then. The bills are good to go. Let him reject it. She said, no. They're not ready to go to him, okay? This Negro-European gatekeeper right here for the religion of white supremacy in California, Lori Wilson, look at her. She said, let's not send the bill to them because it needs more work. Be your own people. But then you know what? People got to dig up Lori Wilson and see, is she even one of the descendants who would receive these reparations? A lot of times they're not. But this weirdo in California, it has something to do with an adult trying to do what he wanted to do with little people, or having a black lizard or black, first black gay, this something. Oh, he would okay any of that. Okay? He would okay any of that. They didn't even, this person named Lori Wilson made sure that this dude didn't even get it to veto it. So it was like protecting him from who he really is. Make the white dude just say no then. And stand on it. No, I don't want y'all to get that. Stand on it. Instead, he's got this team of shine bones, these buck dancers, these gatekeepers who say, okay, nah, we're not going to send it to him. It needs more work. Protecting this dude. Love the white man, yo. Does that make any sense? The bill is good to go. So this guy, Newsom here, this governor, he's running the okie doke, prolonging this thing, stalling, paying off members of the Black Caucus, probably offering them different positions or whatever to be the ops to their so-called own people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the bottom line is, this guy, Gavin Newsom, he doesn't want black people who are owed reparations in the state of California to get anything. They put two aspects of this bill through the most important part. They said, no, we're not even going to start that. But we will approve a plaque and an apology, and also will approve giving land to black landowners who can prove that the land was stolen. You know how many people these white supremacists killed who not even alive? You know how many people there are in California who don't even know that that people had land because they killed them off?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he's a white supremacist. That's in his spirit. That's the bottom line, okay? He's doing things to make it look like he's all about doing something. He's drip freeing it. He's slow walking it. But he's trying to, what these guys like him do, basically he's bamboozling black people into thinking that he's not as bad as those other guys. I'm not as bad as those white Republicans. They are all the same. They're white Americans. They're white supremacists. This weasel Gavin Newsom, okay? He did approve a law in 2020 to create the first task force in the nation to study reparations. But that's nothing. What does that mean? That's for sure. It's 2024 now. Don't you think 4 years is enough time to take it to the next level? No, not at all. Instead, he's signing other bills and laws requiring school districts that receive state funding to collect data on the performance of students by race and gender. All this other nonsense that don't mean nothing, y'all. You know how they do, y'all. Y'all know how they do. But these people in the state of California have done nothing as far as what is owed to the black community in the state of California. I'm not from California, but those people out there, that's what it is. They haven't even formed a genealogy office yet to see who was eligible for these reparations. Haven't even did that, but he's running the okie doke.
I'm going to say this before I play the next video. If there's any black people in California, you need to take this into account. Take all this into account. You know, what the Democrat Party have done to you. Take into account. And do you want to put Kamala, be part of the machine of put Kamala into office? You see what they doing, what you down out with the people getting. They're getting free health care. Gavin Newsom giving taxpayer dollars. And so people need to consider all this. But I'm going to show you something. Where this all began. Where this all began. Why did they always do stuff like this?
And racism was a part of the past. And black people do not have to talk about racism anymore. And why is that Dr. Francis Welsing continuing to beat on the drum about racism, white supremacy? Because it wasn't long ago, although it's been decades ago, that I debated another Nobel Prize laureate, Dr. William Shockley, the person who won the Nobel Prize for inventing the transistor. And he was going around in the 1970s talking about black people were genetically inferior compared to white people. But I had written a paper that I presented in 1970 at the National Medical Association, because then some of my colleagues were talking about racism. And I had written a paper talking about why do people who classify themselves as white have to demean and degrade black people's genetics. And that paper was entitled The Crest Theory of Color Confrontation and Racism, White Supremacy. And in that paper, I talked about the fact that when people who classify themselves as white keep saying something is wrong with black people's genetics, see, three of their fingers are pointing back at themselves. And I didn't invent any genetics. I just simply thought about the things that I had been taught in their institutions and in medical school. That the inability to produce skin pigmentation is defined not by Francis Welsing, but by their own scientists as a genetic recessive trait and a genetic deficiency. A genetic deficiency, and it is albinism. A-L-B-I-N-I-S-M, albinism, meaning the cells in everybody's skin that are called melanocytes, that are charged with the production of melanin pigment, the black pigment. If you have a lot of melanin, you're crystal black, a little bit less you look brown, a little bit less you look red, a little bit less you look yellow, and white is almost none at all. Now they had defined albinism as a genetic deficiency state when they were talking about mice and rats and other forms of life. They never thought that some black person would come along and say, if the majority of the people on the planet have pigmented skins, then as far as human beings are concerned, white skin is albinism. Do you follow what I'm saying? See, in other words, they were busy saying something is wrong with you, when in reality there was something wrong with them. And I explained that this is the reason that they suntan. You see, trying to create color. And I'm updating it and saying now that this is the reason that so many of them are trying to cover their bodies with tattoos. See, now we need to think about that, because sometimes monkey see, monkey do. And we don't understand why. See, it's like they do something, we think we have to do something. There's some black people who think that they have to get in the sun and tan too. See, but we have been blessed by the Creator with color. And indeed, and in fact, the Creator made us, the chosen people, in that we are the mothers and fathers of everybody on this planet. You see, and as the original people, we were crystal black people. The color that we have been taught to hate under racism, white supremacy. You see, but this not only explained the suntanning and maybe now the tattooing, but I said this is the core of racism. And this is why racism contains within it, it's dynamic, the need to destroy black people in general, but black men in particular. You see, and we are seeing that with the high level of incarceration of black men, with the dropping out of school and the high levels of unemployment. And that goes back to the fact that black men are perceived as the persons who can cause white genetic annihilation. Now, as a female, women, we have ovaries, and in our ovaries we have the genetic material. But women cannot impose and force sexual intercourse. Shall I say that again? See, females, we can try to entice and influence. But if a female, if I reached in my purse and pulled out an Uzi, and I started to threaten a man and say, I don't care if your wife is here, you are going to have sexual intercourse, and I frightened him, he wouldn't be able to. See, because the erection disappears in the presence of fear. So women cannot impose sexual intercourse. And so the white collective, from the time that Christopher Columbus came out of Spain in his little boats and started the white people circumnavigating the globe, they began to realize, wait a minute, all these other people on the planet are people of color. And the men, just like the fondling fathers. Did you hear the term? See, black people, we don't need to say founding fathers. We need to talk about the fondling fathers, the Thomas Jeffersons, the George Washingtons, and all of those slave holders who were raping and taking sexual advantage of black women. They found out that by sexually relating, their white color would disappear. And they began to understand, wait a minute, when they realized that they were just a tiny, tiny minority population on the planet. And see, we're still busy calling ourselves minorities. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? They are the minority on the planet, but they know the value of saying repeatedly to other people that they are the minorities because it makes them feel weak and it makes them feel vulnerable. So we really need to start talking about the global white minority. The global white minority. The global white minority. See, and the global white minority realized that for them to genetically survive on planet Earth, they have to have control over all of the non-white people. And because black people have the greatest genetic potential to cause white genetic annihilation, the heaviest pressure has to be on us as a people, as a total people, and as black men in particular. And so therefore, we learned, many of us learned before we learned how to read or write. If you are black, get back. If you are brown, stick around. If you are yellow, you're mellow, and if you're white, you're all right. They were just color coding what they needed to do for white genetic survival. And that is continuing on the planet today. So I maintain that we need to update our understanding and understand the noose, like they're trying to tell us, is just a joke and that it doesn't mean anything. I would suggest that for every person who hasn't already read the book, without sanctuary. It's a pictorial essay of all the lynchings and castrations of black men and burning of black men as white people stood around and cheered. And in some cases taking home body parts. We need to look at that and study that, and I say don't waste any energy.
Speaking of those Fortune 500 companies, anytime their interests were disrupted by foreign countries simply existing, we would employ the CIA or the US military to disrupt their government, install a puppet government that suits our needs better, and rape their country of their natural resources, all the while killing millions of people across the world. But instead of teaching any of this shit in school, we went to home ec and gym class, all the while learning about how dangerous listening to rap music is. We never learned any of this shit. Instead, you watched, Boys in the Hood and concluded, wow, those black guys are really violent. So we look at a people with an entire country's foot on their neck and have come to the conclusion that they are, in fact, the ones that are violent. And that, of course, is by design. Because if we didn't view them this way, we might have a real moral conundrum on our hands. And we might ask ourselves, gosh, why are we locking up more of our own citizens than anywhere else in the world? But instead, we've bought this lie that, hey, they're violent, they're criminal, so yeah, they belong in prison. All the while, the wealthiest of the wealthy get richer and pay politicians to feed us this bullshit. So in short, to answer your question, European Americans.
So the comment was, who's more violent than black men? You see? And I already know it's going to be a comment that, why does it matter who's committing the most crimes? It matters because it's the black man's image that's being drugged through the mud. We're the ones with the tarnished reputation. You see? Like the fella said, we watch shows like Boys in the Hood or Menace to Society, and we automatically assume that, hey, black people are the worst. But this website is called the Office of Juvenile Justice. See, this is a government website. Let's go and look at the statistics here. Let's look at aggravated assault, because the question was, who's more violent? Who's more violent than black men? Aggravated assaults. And it breaks it down. White men, 225,600. Black men, 119,000. Not to say that we're better, because 119,000 aggravated assaults, that's one is too many, you see. But looking at the numbers, you can automatically see that, the perception that black men have is totally off balance. Look at burglary, 94,800. Blacks, 35,000. You see? Almost like a third. You see? Larceny and theft, motor vehicle theft, 52,780 for whites, 16,150 for blacks. See? Arson. Arson is a violent crime. Let's see, 6250 for white, 1,890 for black. You see? And we can go on and on. So, I didn't make this website up. It only takes a Google search, to see who's committing the most crimes, who's committing the most violent offenses. You see? Okay, so let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 27. Because the question was, who's more violent than the black man? You see, let's go to verse 38. And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. So this man, he lives in all the fat places of the earth. You see, he stole America by violence. He stole Africa by violence. Look what he's doing in Gaza right now. See, he's doing it. He's still doing the same thing. It's in his spirit. You see, so how is the black man more violent than him? You see, verse 40. And by thy sword, see, by the sword shalt thou live. You see, so all his technology, the bombs, the Tomahawk missiles, the aircraft carriers, you see, by the sword shall he live. Dropping nuclear bombs on Hiroshima, Nagasaki. How is the black man more violent? You know, it makes no sense.
Who is more violent than black men in this country? Well, that's easy. It's the original illegal immigrants, European Americans. Shortly after Columbus discovered this country, we came over and killed in the millions Native Americans. And then we raped, brutalized, and enslaved millions of Africans. And after 400 plus years, we freed them, only to create the prison industrial complex to provide effectively free labor for Fortune 500 companies. Speaking of those Fortune 500 companies, anytime their interests were disrupted by foreign countries simply existing, we would employ the CIA or the US military to disrupt their government, install a puppet government that suits our needs better, and rape their country of their natural resources.
Hating white people, that's not taking us anywhere. It's like if we sat down at a chessboard to play chess at a tournament. You don't beat your opponent by hating your opponent. You have to take all of your energy and understand exactly the moves that the opponent is going to make and make certain that you know how to counter those moves. Now, this is not a mystery to black people. Black people are expert playing basketball, playing football, playing baseball. All of these are psyching your opponent. What moves is the opponent going to make? And you make counter moves that can checkmate the opponent and move on to victory. So we need to understand and master, instead of trying to ignore racism and pretend that it doesn't exist or that it went away some time ago. No, racism is alive and well. Racism is a total global system that, as Neely Fuller outlined in his textbook for victims of racism, textbook for victims of white supremacy, racism operates in economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Now I'm adding to that health, because people are busy right now talking about healthcare disparities. But there are disparities in all of those areas of activity. There are disparities in economics and disparities in education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war, and health. And I say disparities in entertainment. Why? When only certain kinds of images can be shown of black people. where negative and demeaning and degrading and buffoon-like images are portrayed of black people, that is helping to maintain the system of racism, white supremacy. Or in entertainment, when the system of racism says, I know people like Public Enemy, they started out with giving a political message. But when they put that political message on a beat, the system of racism said they can revolutionize the thinking of their people. So no, we have to pay them large sums of money and make some of them millionaires. But the price they will have to pay is calling themselves dogs and calling themselves gangsters and thugs and calling women bitches and hoes.
You're saying niggas.
And bow wows. Because they understand if you can get a people to demean and to degrade themselves, then you have beaten them. You have beaten them and you have defeated them.
Hey, listen up, y'all.
And let me say, shout out to Redirect and her channel for bringing that forth. Hey, what's more can I say? You know, these videos like this, I put together. I'm a little small channel. YouTube ain't gonna push this to the algorithm because it's too much truth. And you know, when you got truth like this coming forward, I want to break it down. But I hope that whoever watched this video, particularly black people, I hope that if you think about this Republican, Democrat, you got to think open the whole space. You got to stop seeing everything as color. Because the same people, if you ever see the movie, what's that movie where it's a slave movie. They always use these slave movies. You always got two groups of people that they'll bring their slaves to fight to see which one go outdo each other. And they do that to this day. But even though we're not slaves, who's my favorite black? Opposed to who's my black? You might think it's just a person, but when people see color, this is generational. They see it generational. There are people that see it generational, and I had to put the truth. And even had to be a white guy. I had to say it plainly because somebody white can come out and say, "Oh, here they go. They start with their race card." No, this came from a white dude. He told the truth. See, in these last days, the spirit of truth, God is showing you what the spirit of truth is. So don't get caught up in his politics. Don't get caught up in his Republican, Democrat, because they two are the same bird. And Kamala, don't be fooled by her skin, because she's trained. She's there to finish the job. That's why she's pushing this abortion agenda. She's trying to finish the job. Guess who's in line? One of the groups of American citizens in line for try to push this on, because the immigrants ain't going put they're not the women down that's come across the board not going to the abortion clinics. They want you, but they have to show that a mirror to white people, even though they're pushing it more. But here's the crazy part about it: whatever race of people that do it is wrong. But here's the thing that gets me: it's like what the pastor was saying. You unalive a life, that an innocent life. But you give excuse about men can fornicate with women, and we're out protection. Take a chance. She gets slipped up. She don't decide she don't want the precious one, and take the precious one out. And personally, I couldn't be with a woman that think like that, because even though if I fornicate with the woman and she decided not to have that, and I didn't put in the effort to say I'll be man enough to take responsibility and help you raise the child, the Lord gonna hold not only her responsible, gonna hold me responsible, because we had it outside of marriage anyway. And there's consequences to this. There's gonna be consequences. America is not gonna be the same the next 5-10 years. If this go out the way it does, it's gonna be worse. The judgment's gonna be worse. Based on that alone. That's why I said this is deeper than what it is. It's all about, yeah, you got a right. You go in out there, have sex, and you have a right. It's your body. But know that there's a consequence that's coming if you do not repent. But if a nation we don't repent, we getting it from all ends. Then the invaders, and this is even in the Bible, will take over. Invaders are taking over because you're so laxed, and you have people in offices they don't have the guts, and America lost respect around the world because of what some of the things that she did. That's why they come over and do things that they do. You think that they started they're cracking down in different parts of Europe. You know, if this was going on and stuff like that, they put a crackdown, and their politicians working, and that's Europe, and that's the cousins of the white people that's in Europe, but they take an aggressive stand. And I mean, I don't like they should discriminate against each other, but in the end, we got to get out. Everything. You may not agree with Donald Trump. You know, I understand. You know, you might not agree with Pop, but at least look at his principles. He think about protecting the border, and she haven't been down to think about the border. That's the most important thing, because that's what's is going to affect you in your neighborhood and where you live and where you prosper. And you see, they try to bring a different society. Some things you may not like what he got to say. And I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I mean either or. But if I'm gonna go with the candidate that's going to at least take a chance of at least getting the one major thing out the way, because it's going to start affecting a city a town near you. Y'all might say that's just Colorado, that's just New York, that's just Chicago. They're going sanctuary cities trying to push things out. You're gonna get the same type of people, and I'm praying that it don't happen here in Ohio, which is Columbus is one of the place. And guess who's doing this in office? Guess who got run down cities? And I hate to say it, but it's on the Democrat side. I ain't trying to pick on the party, but listen who's in office right now. What's high inflation, everything else. See, that's all what I'm saying. Vote who you want to vote for. But this is the whole truth. This woman laid it out. The pastor laid it out. The other people laid it out. Ain't no more I can say, but hey, take this video, share it, subscribe, because YouTube don't like stuff like this. That's why I know they slow stuff like this down. But if a black person get this video, share it with your family, share it with your friends, because this is coming. And there's people on TikTok is confirming some things. All right then, take care, be blessed, and I'll see you on the next video. And when it comes November, remember, it's on you. What you going to do? Because it's your future, and you proud to be a black man, a black woman who come across this video. Think about your kids and think about your people's future. Take care, be blessed. See you on the next video.